Good morning. I think we are already set. My name is Oscar Jimenez, Technical Account Manager for Aruba Networks Products and Solution at Ingram Micro for Central America and the Caribbean. Uh, Today we are going to talk and share the details of the solution for remote office of Aruba Networks, and we will explore how we do the magic with products from the current portfolio, and we will review the different package that we have prepared for you with the special prices. Okay. Today we are very lucky. We are joined by Cindy Lorraine, Aruba System Engineer for the Caribbean, who leads the presentation today. And Cindy, it's a pleasure to greet you and welcome to the webinar.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, as Oscar said, we're going to share with you the business continuity solutions that we have here in Aruba and what we've been doing in response of the current situation. So without further ado, let's get into the presentation. Okay, so as the world responds to the current health crisis, as the well-being of our customers and everyone impacted by this pandemic remains our top priority. We're committed to help maintain business continuity for all our customers in these changing times. And of course, our customers are also our partners, so that includes everybody in this call. And we're seeing different scenarios and how businesses are responding to the current situation. So for most businesses, the challenges they face are obviously making sure their employees are healthy and safe, especially for verticals where they have essential workers like retail and healthcare. And then there are other businesses that are experiencing, for example, loss in revenue, reduction of their workforce, maybe even temporary closure, which is very unfortunate. So we need to help them change the way they deliver services so that they can keep on going. And we're going to talk about how we can do that with the Aruba solution. And then there's other businesses that are lucky enough to have a facility expansion, or they're changing the way they deliver their services, or they're seeing an increase in services. So they also need help in expanding and changing the way they work so that they can keep their business up and running as the demand of their business increases. So on a less serious note, I think most of us were transitioning to working from home. Those of us who are lucky enough to be able to work from home and keep our jobs. I know it's been tough on a lot of us doing this. I think we all remember that infamous video where there was someone being interviewed for the news, and then their children walked in the room on national television and it became viral. I mean, I think we're all adjusting to working from home and the different distractors and factors that there are at home. But that doesn't mean we can't adapt. And the way we can do that with the help of technology is also accessing our corporate resources from home in the same way that we would if we were at our job, right? So just a little guidance on Aruba's side on how communications with customers should be. I know it's a bit hard to have different conversations in light of how serious the situation is, but here are some tips. Number one is focus on your current customers. I think it's important to help and keep in touch with customers that we've been working with for the past years and helping them keep their business up, check on them and see how they're doing, if they need anything, and then show sympathy and demonstrate active listening. This is applicable to all of the conversations we have with customers, right? So always show that you're listening. When there's a conversation with a customer, if you would look at a transcript of what that conversation is, it should always be maybe 80% the customer talking and sharing their experiences and their needs, and then 20% should be you. It shouldn't be all the other way around. You shouldn't be talking at the customer. You should be listening and responding and sort of catching those key words and key phrases that the customer uses to express how they're feeling in their current situation. And then stay informed on recent developments with your clients' verticals and business. For me, since I am the SC in charge of English Caribbean, I keep tabs on what's going on with different verticals. One of the most important ones, as you all know, is tourism, so hotels. I like to read up on what's going on with the major hotel chains and how we can help them sort of ease everything that's been going on in the current situation. Right. So getting a little bit more into the solution itself, let's talk about key concepts and products. Before we have the discussion, I need everybody to be on the same page as to what these key concepts are, because I know for some of you, you may be familiarized, but maybe this is a sort of like a nice refresher on what each thing means. So starting from the top here on your top left, you'll notice there's a little cell phone with a symbol that represents the virtual internet access, or VIA. Aruba VIA is a VPN software client that provides secure remote connectivity to enterprise resources. It's supported on Android, Apple iOS, Mac OS, Linux, and Windows devices. So VIA automatically selects the best secure connection to an Aruba VPN concentrator hosted in the cloud or on a customer's on-prem. And then after that, we have the remote access point, or RAP, as we like to call it. A RAP can refer to either hardware or deployment mode, or a deployment mode. So the word encompasses different things. So the RAP hardware is a desktop or portable form factor access point that runs the same software as other access points. RAP mode can be used in all AP models, and it's a mode where the AP contacts a controller over an IPsec tunnel, and then it's a VPN style deployment. So both RAP hardware and RAP mode support the Teleworker solution for Aruba. All of the AP models, like I said, can be installed in RAP mode. Instant AP or unified AP models are easier to deploy because they support zero-touch provisioning. And a campus IP requires an extra provisioning step before it is sent to an end user. So definitely that's something to note, that you should be, if you were going to do a RAP deployment, please consider using either our unified APs or instant APs instead of the controlled APs, or caps as we know them. Okay, and then next up we have different security terms that everybody should be familiarized with. So what is a VPN, or a virtual private network? So a VPN is constructed by using public networks, for example, the internet, to provide remote offices or individual users secure access to their organization's internal network. And then the network uses encryption and other security mechanisms such as IPsec to ensure that only authorized users can access the network and the data cannot be intercepted. So basically what it is some people use it, for example, it's a bit of a crude example, but it gets the point across. For example, there are people who they enter the internet to look at things they shouldn't be looking at, right? So the way the government catches them, or the cyber police catches them, is intercepting this data between them and a service provider server, or a server where that information that they shouldn't be looking at is located. The way you could avoid it would be by using a VPN service because it's encrypted, and whoever is giving you that service, there's companies who sell you this service. They usually have a no log policy. So even if the government asks them to look at logs so they can investigate, they have a no log policy, so there's no way they can know that information. So it's sort of like making a secure tunnel so that only you and the resource that you're accessing knows what's going on. So that's a VPN. And then we have policy enforcement firewall. This is a very Aruba term. We call it the PEF module, and it provides identity-based controls to enforce application layer security. So prioritizing traffic, traffic forwarding, and network performance policies for wired and wireless networks use the PEF or PEF firewall. And then over here we have some different form factors or appliances. We have up here the mobility controller. I think we're all familiar with the mobility controller. There's also a virtual version of the mobility controller, which can be hosted on a server. Then we have Airwave. Airwave is our on-premise management solution. And then down here we have the cloud counterparts. So the cloud counterpart of the mobility controller is the head-end gateway. It's the same controller, it just has a different level of licensing, and it has a different software in it. So this is meant to go with a cloud solution. So that's the head-end gateway. And then we have a virtual gateway, which we'll talk about in detail in further slides. And then Aruba Central is the cloud counterpart of Airwave. So it's a cloud solution that enables you to manage your Aruba network. Okay, so now that we're all clear on what each thing means, let's look at the Aruba remote access solutions as a whole. There are two basic approaches to the remote access solutions. So we have the on-prem solution and then the cloud-based one. By on-premise or on-prem, we are referring to where the VPN concentrator is located. So on-premise means that the location of the VPNC is either on the corporate DMZ or in the data center. So as we discussed, there's a variety, sorry, I keep clicking it. There's a variety of VPNC deployment options based on the type of appliance. So as you can see here, we support both physical and virtual appliances, and all of the solutions rely on a secure VPN connection. So all of the remote connections are going to be secured by a VPN technology. So up here, you'll see the mobility controllers. You'll see our head-end gateways, and then Airwave and Central are part of the remote access solutions. And then ClearPass, our network access security, can be used as an optional added security to the network. And then that's on the termination side of things. But on the remote part of things, or where the actual remote connection happens, we have three different flavors available for our customers. So we'll start with the RAPs. We discussed what a RAP is earlier. So remember, a RAP can be a physical device or a deployment mode of any Aruba access point. While any existing Aruba AP can be used as a RAP, however, we have dedicated RAP form factors that are also available using the new Aruba 505H, the existing Aruba 303H, or the 203H and 203R models. These are optional. They have optional desk stand mounts that are also available. Because this scenario involves dedicated hardware, RAPs can support both individual users or a small group of users. So thinking of scalability, the RAP is ideal for offices that are really small, that either have one user, one teleworker, or they have a small number, maybe maximum of 10. And then they can quickly spin up an internet connection and create a tunnel connection over to the data center onto the mobility controller that's deployed on the data center. And then the next step up in terms of size of deployment, we have the Aruba Instant APs. As outlined in this slide, they're ideal for a small office or a small branch location with multiple workers and devices that may need one or more access points. So using the Aruba Instant Capable Access Points at each location, and either an Aruba Central Managed account or an on-premise managed VPNC, an organization can easily extend secure VPN access to enterprise services without any VPN clients. So they can just connect directly to a SSID that's being irradiated by the instant access points, and it's just an extension of what goes on in the data center. So in the we call it the micro branch scenario. So in the micro branch scenario where there may be multiple access points, one AP in the cluster can be designated as a master and tunnel all the VPN traffic onto the concentrator. Lastly, we have the VIA client or the VIA software client, which is designed to turn a laptop, an iPad, or a phone into a VPN client. It's truly a personal solution, and Aruba VIA provides secure remote connectivity for all operating systems. So Android, Apple, macOS, Linux, and Windows devices are all covered. They can download and use the client on these devices. And then from a management standpoint, just to reiterate on what we were discussing earlier, each of these on-premise hidden controller scenarios can be managed by a choice of mobility controller console. So Airwave, in the case of instant APs, can also manage these solutions. So you have a variety of choices here. For the customer that prefers an on-prem solution, you're covered. For a customer that prefers a cloud solution, you're also covered. And we're going to discuss each of these scenarios more in detail. So from the SD branch architecture perspective, the Aruba SD branch solution seeks to provide a complete suite of solutions for all needs in an enterprise. So from the road warrior that needs a VPN connectivity to access corporate resources to larger branches. These larger branches may need redundant gateways as well as a complete cloud managed solution. So we have everything covered in our SD branch architecture as well. So there's a little bit of situation where other vendors sort of doubt our capabilities in terms of SD branch, but Aruba has been present in the branch since the RAP was launched. So even if SD branch is a fairly fresh solution, it's built on top of more than 10 years of accumulated experience. The Aruba SD branch uses Aruba Central as a SaaS platform, and it can provide additional services like horizontal scalability, as well as an agility that can only be obtained with a cloud platform. The SD branch solution is not really a product, but a solution. So you can make use of VPN concentrators in your headquarters or your data center and extend your network to wherever your users may be or wherever you may see fit. That's with the help of the three elements that we have here on the left. So the VIA client is for people who are on the road that have the client installed on their computer and they need to access corporate resources securely from the internet. So you may be sitting at an internet cafe or now that we're in this situation, everybody is working from home. So someone who's working from home who just has the ability to install this VIA client can easily connect onto an Aruba VPN concentrator that's sitting in the data center and spin up secure corporate access. Then we have the micro branch scenario, which we discussed earlier, which is also supported in the SD branch solution with the VPN concentrators. And then we have the SD branch, which is the solution is comprised of the IAPs, our switches, and our branch gateways. And this is meant for larger branches that need active WAN interfaces as well as other services because it's such a large branch. We're already trialing virtual head-end gateways to our VPNCs. So this would allow customers to seamlessly make their VPC part of the SD-WAN fabric. And we're going to discuss that in further slides in more detail. So in contrast to our SD branch solution, there's an on-prem solution that we discussed earlier. But here I just want to get into a little bit more detail because I know that might interest a lot of customers who are still kind of iffy on the whole cloud thing. So on-prem remote and teleworker solutions are based off of our mobility controllers. So it can be a hardware appliance or you can virtualize our mobility controller. Mobility controllers are typically deployed in data centers in the corporate headquarters, where the applications and the network resources are typically reside. So each data center or hub consisting of an appliance-based mobility controller, depending on the number of remote users, they can support that teleworker environment. So all remote deployments require at least one mobility controller to be installed. And optionally, you can have layer 2 redundancy that can be provided by installing a second mobility controller. And the mobility controller terminates all of the tunnels for all of our remote solution options. So via the micro branch scenario with the instant APs, and then of course our RAP. So network management can be done with Airwave as opposed to Aruba Central, which is a cloud-based solution. So you're all set with a complete on-prem environment for remote access. In the case of the VIA connection, VIA clients connect to the mobility controller through the internet. So this communication between VIA clients and the mobility controller across internet is secured by using VPN technology, as we had discussed. This is a good option for customers who can't wait for hardware to be delivered to them, and they need to quickly have a remote access solution installed. So maybe you have a customer that has an existing mobility controller sitting in their data center, and so they can quickly spin up a remote access solution using the VIA client. Or if that's not the case, if it's a new customer, but you still want to help them out, you can easily spin up a virtual mobility controller, install it in a server that they already have, an existing server. Make sure that they have the resources though to get it installed. And then you can quickly spin up a solution with the Aruba VIA client. We've actually been doing this a lot in Central America. I have several customers that we helped get remote access solutions with the virtual mobility controller and the Aruba VIA. And it's all just software that you can download. And we're going to talk about some special license packages that we're giving out to help customers get this solution up and running. So in contrast to the on-prem solution, of course, we also have a cloud counterpart. If you've been familiar with our remote solutions based with on-premise architecture, the exciting new developments that we're doing are focused on the cloud and in Aruba Central. So one of the newest things that we've came out with is a virtual gateway, which is it's relatively new to our portfolio. But what it is that it's a software that can be run in a virtual private cloud that provides VPN concentrated functionality. So in addition, now Aruba Central can provide the setup, updating, and monitoring of VPN clients and associated access points, as well as the virtual gateway management. So this greatly simplifies both the deployment and management of an Aruba remote solution. So with the hidden gateway or even the virtual gateway, along with Aruba Central, you can have a completely deployed remote solution where on top of that, you have the full visibility in Aruba Central that you can access through anywhere in the network, anywhere that has internet, of course. So a lot of the discussions that I've been having with customers is now they're finally seeing what the value, the business value of the cloud can provide. Because everybody's working from home, I have customers who have an on-prem deployment kind of struggling to get remote access to their data center and still being able to monitor everything. So that's definitely a way to help a customer that has been a little bit on defense see the value of the cloud. A cloud solution will always allow you to look at what's going on in your network as long as you have internet access and you have access to that cloud dashboard. You can be anywhere and sort of still have the reins on what's going on in your network. And then of course with the virtual gateway, it's very easy for customers to spin up this solution, get the virtual gateway, get the Aruba client working, and create the secure IPsec tunnel all the way to the data center. Okay, just talking a little bit more in depth about the instant VPN solution, because I know and particularly in English Caribbean, we have a lot of customers that have the instant clusters deployed in different locations. So as we all know, Aruba Instant is a very powerful platform, which is fully capable of providing wireless connectivity to either remote branch offices or teleworkers. This is something that not a lot of people know, that a cluster can also provide a VPN solution. So branch offices, they typically employ multiple IAPs depending on the number of users and the size of the branch. And then teleworkers can typically take up a single IAP. So in terms of the models of IAPs that you can use, like I said, we can use all of the instant APs as remote APs. But the reason we prefer the 303Hs is because they have 3 available ports so that you can connect additional things. So in the image here, you'll see that there is an IP phone connected. There's a printer connected there that's also on the network. And then apart from that, the access points gives off the SSID, the corporate SSID. So this is like having like a mini office, right? So you're extending whatever happens on your data center or your headquarters onto that remote branch. So employees who are sitting in that remote branch will see the same corporate SSID with the same level of privileges as if they were on the headquarters, working at the headquarters. So that's very neat. The components to the solution, the mandatory ones are marked here. It's an Aruba access point. It can be any access point, but 303H, we've already discussed the advantages of it. Remember, having an instant or a unified access point is our preferred solution. And then get the VPNC gateway, either a gateway or a Aruba VPN concentrator. And then of course, Aruba Central. So Aruba Central, you'll get the licenses and the foundation license for the VPNC. And then Aruba ClearPass is just optional in case you want to apply access policies on that network. Here are just some scaling information. It's important to consider this information when you're sizing a solution for the customer, because each gateway has sort of a limit to how many remote branches they can spin up. And then the VIA solution in Central, just different things to know about the solution. The components of it that are mandatory are the VIA client, of course. It's the software client that's installed in the remote user's device. And then, of course, the VPNC or the virtual gateway that will terminate the tunnels. And then the licensing is just one foundation license per concentrator. And then you can also have the Aruba ClearPass in there as optional. And then here are just some information on the sizing. We also have a user limit on all of these hardware platforms. So it's important to take note of the user limit when sizing a solution for a customer. One thing I would like to point out about the virtual gateways back here, because we have the hardware gateway, which is, we call it a head-end gateway. That's also managed in the cloud. But the virtual gateway, what's neat about the virtual gateway as well is that it can be hosted in Amazon Web Services or Azure. So if your customer has a VPC with Amazon Web Services or Azure, they can easily create a virtual gateway in their public cloud environment and have that gateway terminate the tunnels for the VIA solution as well. And it takes about maybe 10 minutes to get everything up and running. So that's also a very good alternative to getting customers on the network, getting their remote access quickly. So what do we choose? Do we choose the on-premise or do we use the VPN client or the hardware VPN client? Well, here's a little flowchart to help you decide. First, you'll see in the top there's a work from home solutions little bullet here, and then there's a question. Prefer client VPN or a hardware VPN? And then you'll say, oh, well, the customer is saying that they prefer a hardware. So then you choose a type of implementation. Do you prefer a cloud management or on-prem management? And then you'll see listed some considerations. So this is just a neat flowchart that can come in handy when having these customer discussions for future reference. And then the Aruba RAP architecture that we discussed earlier. This architecture, as we said before, any Aruba access point can be provisioned and operated as a RAP. The purpose of deploying a RAP is to leverage both the wireless and the wired features of an Aruba access point from the remote location. So the Aruba RAP is configured to use IPsec to connect to a mobility controller's public IP over something we call UDP 4500 for NAT traversal. So what that means in colloquial terms is that once the IPsec tunnel is established with the controller, the RAP receives an inner IP known to the controller from a pre-configured VPN pool. So at that point on, the RAP is treated like any other campus AP, reachable using its inner AP. So what that means is that the RAP extends the same SSIDs available in the office so that employees can work from home as if they were in the office without the need of additional VPN clients. So that's the advantage, or we're using the VIA client, that the user doesn't need to do anything. It just needs to connect to an SSID, and the SSID is going to be the same one as you have in the data center or at your headquarters. So that's neat because users, they usually don't want to deal with installing anything. They don't want to have to mess with anything. So you could just set up this RAP and then have the RAP irradiate the corporate SSID and just have people connect to the SSID as they would to their home network. And everything's taken care of for them from the secure standpoint because the RAP knows how to spin up the VPN tunnel. And then the data center takes care of all of the security policies for them with the help of Aruba ClearPass. So yeah, that's pretty much what's there to know about the RAP architecture. Here is some RAP sizing information that is also very useful when sizing customers for a solution. Here, just a little thing to note about this. If you're going to use a virtual controller, remember that virtual controllers do not have a TPM, and they require resource reservations on the hypervisor for reliable operation. So just something to notice. I know we said that it's a very good option when the customer can't wait for hardware, but make sure to point that out when you talk to customers, because if they later want to reutilize that virtual controller, but they need the TPM models for authentication, they'll need to use an external TPM module that can handle the authentication. Okay, so just to wrap up on benefits of the Aruba's remote access solution. So compared to using a home or consumer-based wireless technology, our Aruba remote access solutions are based on enterprise-grade hardware. And the software is also combined with high levels of security and ease of management to deliver the best experience for your customers. So whenever you're using an Aruba remote access solution, you're always covered on the security part of it. You have encrypted traffic, you have security controls, and you have the policy enforcement firewall and every single one of our mobility controllers. So everybody is all covered in terms of security. In terms of performance and control, we have the enterprise grade hardware. So you'll be sure to have great bandwidth controls. You have private network offload. You have the visibility to see what's going on in your network with both Airwave and Aruba Central. And you have tools to cover any sort of situation which your customer might request. So you have the on-prem solution, you have the cloud solution, and then you have different flavors of remote access solutions that we discussed today. And then we have the ease of setup and management. We have zero-touch provisioning on all of our devices, particularly with the cloud solution. Zero-touch provisioning is a great advantage. What is zero-touch provisioning? That's when you connect a device onto the network and it downloads its configuration from Aruba Central or the cloud. So you don't need to send in an expert or a network expert to deploy your devices. You could just send someone, give them basic instructions, and then let Aruba Central take care of the configuration for them. And then you have IT monitoring and troubleshooting on all of our tools, both Airwave and Central, as well as some of the GUIs on our standalone products. They all have nice monitoring and troubleshooting tools for your customer. So in terms of visibility, our products give up some of the best visibility in the market. So that's something to also discuss with the customer as well. And then we have centralized updates. So in the cloud solutions, your solutions can always be updated because they're getting updates directly from the cloud. So that's also something to note in terms of ease of setup and management. So what to do next, or what I would advise you to do immediately after this discussion. Number one is to read up on our special programs for remote accessibility. We have different special programs to help our customers. We have IAP-VPN evaluation licenses for up to 90 days. We have the VIA evaluation license as well for 90 days. That's available. And then we have a RAP eval license for up to 90 days as well. So I would just want to show you where you can look at this, because I know a lot of you may not be aware. If you're familiar with Arubapedia for partners, you'll see that there's a business continuity page where all of this information is sort of compiled. So here you'll see that there's a section, where is it? Oh, here, the solution offer and overview. So if you click each of these, it'll take you to the solution offer, where you'll be able to see what each of those offers entails. Okay, so you click it and then it says Aruba VIA evaluation licenses for up to 90 days. And here you'll see how to get the evaluation licenses, details on the special program, and all of that. So check this out, offer it to your customers. This is all available for you guys to use and leverage it for different opportunities. And then here's just a little sort of one view thing of what all of our special offers are. All of them are up to 90 days license free. And then we have available corporate documentation for each one of the solutions. So this you can look at our support page. I'm going to show you very quickly. Where is it? Oh, this is the support center. I'm sure you're all familiar with it by now. But there's a specific section that's dedicated to remote access solutions, where we have 3 PDFs that explain in depth all of the solutions we talked about today. We have the IAP-VPN one, we have the remote access point solution guide, and then we have the VIA remote access solution guide. So these have the instructions step by step on how to deploy everything, and it also has all of the technical details on there. So if you didn't quite catch what we discussed today, because we have limited time, we had to do it sort of in a very compact manner. But if you want to go into in depth what each of the solutions do, you can do that by reading these PDFs. And then lastly, if you want a more technical training, we have a 4-hour technical training that is free at our Airheads community portal. So we have the seven videos which cover different parts of the solution. And then lastly, we have our executive summary. This is just a PDF that's a very sort of readable summary of what the solution entails that you can share with customers. And then we have the remote access solution partner guide made by one of my colleagues. She made this this presentation just so you can look at different solutions. Even bombs that are already made for you are available in that presentation, which you can also access through Arubapedia. And then lastly, what I would do after this is stay safe and stay connected. I know it's a difficult times for everybody, so just know that we're here for you and we're here to support you in anything that you might need. And that's my time for today, guys. I think we can do a Q&A. Oscar, I don't know if there were questions along the way.
No, we're really very clear right now, Cindy. And thanks for such great presentation. Everything was super clear, and your knowledge was great benefits for the audience today. Thank you all for your participation today. For Ingram Micro, our customers are very important, and they correct enablement in the training of products line that we offer. So connect with us if you have any business opportunity or wish to receive a quote of these products. Our team will be happy to support you technically and commercially. So we don't have any question right now, Cindy. So thank you very much for your time today.
Okay, thanks everybody.